So let's get into some products with this video, and I want to speak to you about why I refuse to place a bulk order without testing products. There are so many lessons that I have learned about this, and I'm sure there are going to be so many more that I'm going to learn on this journey. But the first one that I want to speak to you about is this water bottle. And let me give you a bit of a story. You know, I like to give a bit of a story. So when I'm building Athletesia, it's one of those things whereby I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to have this product, I want to have that, I want to have everything branded. And I've got to a point where I'm like, Danielle, that's really not realistic. And it also isn't necessary. There are so many incredible water bottle companies out there who are doing amazing things, and that's all that they focus on. Why do I need a water bottle for Athletesia? And I will honestly probably never have one. I will put on screen the water bottle that I do have, and I absolutely love the brand. And so who knows, maybe there's a brand partnership down the pipeline with that brand. So I found a UK manufacturer for this water bottle. And when I received it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is dope. It's amazing, quality, on point, love it. Now, when I get things, I'm like, but how is this going to perform in day-to-day life? I want to be able to try and break stuff, basically. So I was using this on a regular basis, taking it to work with me when I was employed and also to the gym and stuff. And, comes part and parcel with these kind of bottles where it starts to chip. But I felt that it was chipping like far too soon. And so for me, that wasn't a good thing in any way, shape, or form. So I was like, that's not great. And obviously, when I'm bringing it to the gym, I am like, not throwing it, but you end up dropping it on the floor and all of that stuff. And that's natural. That happens, especially because it doesn't have a handle. And one day I looked at it and I was like, what the hell is that? Anyway, started to split at the bottom. And I was just like, yeah, this is absolutely crap. Bearing in mind, I didn't have it for a long period of time at all. So I'm just like, there is no way in hell I would sell this to anybody if this is going to be the outcome. It's not good for business in any way, shape, or form. It's not good for the Athletesia brand reputation. And so this is why it's so important that when you do get something and you have that feeling of, oh my gosh, this is incredible and that's great, at the same time, you have to really think through your decision before placing that order. Test, test, test. Use it yourself constantly. If you can also get another one, then, have someone else test it alongside you. Samples can be pretty darn expensive. So this is why I do very in-depth testing myself. When it gets to a point where, I can expand that, then I will for sure. But also one of the key things, and I mentioned this at the beginning, it can be easy to get carried away with categories. And I've been doing a lot of reading and watching interviews with entrepreneurs. And one of the things that keeps on coming back time and time again is not having too many SKUs and not going overboard with your launch collection. Because it's all about, for me with Athletesia, is being able to test the market and putting in additional drops throughout the year, through next year, and so on. So for example, when it comes to leggings and sports bras that are sets, but are going to be super, different and crazy, that will probably come the back end of 2026. And at this rate, probably 2027. And so I'm looking at manufacturing partners that I can work with on that. But it's a case of not going all in with absolutely everything immediately. It's going in with the pieces that I know that people love, that from a commercial standpoint are going to be good sellers and so on. Moving on from that. So the next one is this tote bag. And I absolutely love it. And everything for Athletesia as well, just so you know, if it doesn't work, I'm still going to utilize it. This is a bit like a souvenir, to be honest, now that sits in my cupboard, but I'm never going to get rid of it. So anyway, when it comes to this bag, let me talk you through some of the issues. So got it, amazing, dope, love it. Love that it's PVC as well, because when it's raining outside, and in the UK, it'll be raining all the damn time. Anyway, your stuff is going to be protected. However, when it comes to the handles, as you can see, the handles are PVC covered as well. So what that then means is when you're wearing certain things, certain jackets, it does this. Nobody wants that. It's super, super annoying. It's annoying for everybody else, annoying for me as well. And so it was looking at, okay, if I am going to do this bag in the future, which I will, what can I change? So what will happen is this bag in the future, it will have woven handles, because with these woven handles, they stay on your shoulder, regardless of whether you're wearing a PVC leather jacket, a MAC, whatever the case may be. The other thing was with the bottom of the bag. So for me, I just felt like it wasn't wide enough because this is kind of like an all-in-one bag. So if you think about bringing it to the gym, bringing it so you can get grocery shopping and all that kind of jazz, this then doesn't fully function as it needs to. But then also the side isn't as wide enough as it should be. And the top, because the top doesn't have like I don't know if you can see this, but like additional space, it basically means that when I was going grocery shopping, and I'm one of those people, I have a list, okay? And then I end up going grocery shopping and I'm like, Danielle, you now have too many things to fit in the bags that you have. Always the case. Anyway, and so as I fill this up, it then gets to the point where you try to zip it and the top is super, super narrow. So you're not getting the full capacity of the bag. And also, if you've got too many things, you then can't zip it. And if I've got a bag with a zip, I want to be able to zip the top. Now I know its limitations, I know what I can use it for, which is all good. So the next variation of this is going to be one which is wider, a bit bigger, straps are different, etc. Now, I did actually want to launch with this, but unfortunately, when I saw the pictures for the proto, and this was with the revised measurements, etc., I was like, that doesn't meet my expectations in any way, shape, or form. Like, look at the shape of it, doesn't even align with the mock-up. So I'm going with an alternative option for a bag, which is like a grocery shopper, which is super cool. And so that's what I'm going to be doing there. But it's also, again, when it comes to that proto sample phase, is being really upfront. Does it meet your expectations? Is it going to meet the expectations of your customer? Because it has to work for them. You know, ATHLETESIA is where function meets self-expression. So that functionality of every single product has to be there and it has to be on point. And so there are times maybe where I might want to do something and it's like, let me revisit that down the line and let me go with something that maybe makes more sense right now. And that's perfectly fine. The other major one that I want to speak to you about is the sweats range for ATHLETESIA. So when I received the very first samples, and I'm referring to joggers and hoodies, I was like, super, super dope. Quality incredible, workmanship incredible. We just had tons of things to do, like around the measurements. I've already spoken about that in a previous video. But when I was testing, and I'm referring to wearing, washing, you know, actively moving in them, using them for different activities and stuff, the first set of samples, perfection, amazing. So that's what I was expecting with the rest. Got the second round of samples, and I was like, something is off here. Like, why is this pilling after a very short period of time? Now, of course, we know that products and fabrics age, but there is no way in hell I should have something for a short period of time and it starts to pill. Like, no, why? You know, there's something fundamentally wrong with the fabric. So I was like, look, we need to be able to correct this. I got the third set of samples. My God. The third set of samples. I literally had a panic moment. My heart rate was racing. I was like, oh my gosh, these are terrible. And bear in mind, we was like at a bulk stage. And I was just like, there is absolutely no way in hell I can sell this. I cannot sell this. ATHLETESIA will be dead in the water from a brand reputation perspective if I was to sell this. Literally, what was happening, wearing, you know, you take it off and depending on the type of sweat, fabric, because it can be brushed, it can leave fabric on like your bra and stuff like that. But it was leaving tons of it. And then from a washing viewpoint, I literally took it to my shower. So the hoodie and the joggers, and I was shaking it. And I was like, look at all that's coming out, to the point where it made my skin itch. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So it was like the fabric was practically shedding, but it was shedding so much. It wasn't even one of those things where you could say, okay, after the third wash, you know, first wash, you're probably going to experience some shedding. It was like, no, this shedding is nuts. But then also it was the pilling. And I was like, stop. Can't move forward with this, not doing it. No way in hell. We need to figure out something else. Then it was like, okay, let's try again. Tried again. Unfortunately, didn't work out. There was just pilling issues. And I was just like, I'm not selling this. Like, we need to move on to something completely different. So what I had to do is for the sweats range is completely change the fabric. So I'm wearing the final version of the cuff joggers, cuff joggers, which are 100% organic, and they are absolutely incredible. Love them so, so much. Now, the thing to bear in mind with organic fabric is that it does age within a certain way. So I kind of view it like it ages with you. And so in terms of the feel of these, I mean, they feel so incredible on the skin. And the thing is, so did the others. And I still wear them to this day, by the way. They're all part of my wardrobe still. It's not something that I'm going to get rid of. But with seeing the samples that I had, like the third set, and it's again going back to that point of being like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's go for it, let's do it. Beautiful, beautiful on the skin. Everybody loved them. But then in practice, they did not perform how they needed to. So it's again taking that time and energy out to make sure that it's actually going to be right for your customer. And so where we are now with these is I've got the cuff joggers that I will be doing in off black charcoal, and they probably look darker on video. And then also the straight leg jogger, which will be in deep teal. And we managed to get to a point as well where the measurements are where they need to be. The fabric is where it needs to be. The look and feel, the energy is where it needs to be. And that has taken so much time to get to this point. So many tech packs. But from a market perspective as well, it's also looking at it from a different viewpoint of, okay, normally you would have a matching hoodie. But actually, why do you need to have a matching hoodie? You know, ATHLETESIA is not necessarily being about matchy and all of that kind of stuff. So say, for example, when we get to autumn winter, I'll then look at doing a color that does have a hoodie or whatever the case may be for people who want that. But as a starting point, it's just looking at, right, these are the final joggers, the straight leg and the cuff. Let's see how, you know, customers react to these. And then I can build on things as I go along versus going all in and having a hoodie like I had planned and having a zip hoodie like I had planned. So every kind of step back has basically been highly beneficial because it's made me have the time and space to think and look at things from a different perspective. And so if you do have a product-based business, just take that time out to make sure that everything is as it needs to be. Communicate with your manufacturer on a regular basis. If something isn't right, voice it. I can share, and I'm happy to, I won't share the amount, but have I lost money on the sweats range? Yes, 100%. But you know what? I don't look at it as a loss because it would have been a bigger loss to me if I had moved forward with products that weren't up to par and weren't up to standard, because people would have just returned them. So it would have been a huge money loss. So I hope that you found this video beneficial, and let me know if you want more content like this as well, because there are so many different elements of building a product-based business that I can speak on and dive into. And maybe one around, you know, the relationships that I have with my manufacturers and how I work with them. I'm happy to share that detail for sure, because what I would say is my career has definitely helped me with building really strong relationships, and it is at the heart of everything. You know, we communicate on a regular basis. I'm very upfront about things. They know that I am meticulous. My attention to detail is insane. And so that's the other thing. When you're trying things on and you're thinking about, you know, the fit, etc., you also have to be looking at everything. You know, how are things being sewn together? What are the pockets like? So when I'm testing, I'm putting my iPhone Pro Max in my pockets and being like, okay, how does this sit in my pocket? Previously, as I've shared in a video, at one point they were too long. Like, I don't want my phone all the way down there. Like, you know, I'm a youngster. Like, do you know where I'm coming from? I want it at a decent height, and I want it to be able to sit nicely in the pocket as well. You know, when it comes to the elasticated cuffs and, you know, on the sleeves and so on, I want that to work for people. I don't want them have to be doing everyday functional stuff, normal stuff, and, you know, they're having issues with looseness and so forth. So yeah, that's just also another point that I wanted to touch on too. But thank you so, so much for joining me for this video. I will be back with another one soon. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you know someone who's building a product-based business or thinking about it, then, you know, share this video with them too. And I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Go on, don't be shy. And also feel free to jump in my DMs on Instagram. I say that all the time, you know, and let me know your thoughts if you're shy of coming in the comments, and I'll reply to you there, because your feedback is what builds and makes this channel. So please, the more of it that you can give me, the better. Thank you so much.